Big changes in the trial set for the former school principal accused of killing her husband. The investigation continues after a deadly officer-involved shooting. And the search continues for two men who robbed an Oildale bank. This is 17 News at noon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maddie Jansen. We begin with your 17 Court Watch this afternoon. The former school principal accused of killing her husband has a new attorney and a new trial date. Leslie Chance is accused of killing her husband, Todd Chance, back in 2013. Last month, a judge declared a mistrial before trial even began because of a conflict the defense team presented. Today, Chance was assigned a new attorney, Tony Lidgett. Her new trial date was set for October 21st. Chance faces the possibility of being sentenced to life without parole if she's found guilty of murder. Bakersfield police are investigating a deadly officer-involved shooting in northeast Bakersfield. It happened around 2 o'clock this morning on Nelson Street, just off University Avenue. That's just a few blocks from Bakersfield College and right up the street from Washington Middle School. Police say it all started as a domestic violence incident, but when officers responded, the suspect confronted them at the front of the home. That's when two officers opened fire, killing the suspect. Neither of the two officers involved were hurt. Both will be placed on routine administrative leave as the investigation continues. The search is on for a pair of men who robbed an Oildale bank. It happened just before 2 yesterday afternoon at this Chase Bank on North Chester Avenue. KCSO says the suspect met up with another man. The sheriff's office released the surveillance picture of one of the suspects. If you see him, you're urged to call 911. Well, the aftershocks continue in eastern Kern County and San Bernardino County 4 days after two massive earthquakes. Yesterday, President Trump declared a federal emergency in Ridgecrest and Kern County, and federal emergency funds will soon be making their way to the disaster zone. Officials say damage to Ridgecrest and nearby Trona could cost upwards of $1 billion. Thousands of small aftershocks have hit Southern California since Friday's quake, which followed a 6.4 force shock the day before. Some residents so shaken physically and emotionally, they're sleeping outside as a precaution.
It's just traumatizing for us to be inside.
Despite the emotional trauma and physical damage, officials say the fact that there were no serious injuries is truly a miracle. Meantime, the building inspection office in Ridgecrest is overwhelmed. The office does not employ inspectors. It contracts with the county. Since the earthquakes, 8 inspectors have been brought in from other agencies to help evaluate whether buildings are safe. And meantime, the city of Ridgecrest has established a hotline for residents to report damage. Kern County building inspectors are helping staff that hotline. The number to call is 760-499-5083. The sheriff's office reminds you, call this number to report damage and do not call 911. And later today, the Board of Supervisors is holding a special meeting to ratify an emergency proclamation. The proclamation was made on July 4th and opened the door to federal and state assistance in the disaster. Supervisors are expected to approve a resolution supporting the proclamation. The meeting set for 2 o'clock this afternoon in board chambers. The city of Ridgecrest is now working toward recovering and healing. To help start that process, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, Assemblyman Vince Fong, and State Senator Shannon Grove have teamed up with Toyota of Ridgecrest to host a free movie night tonight at Freedom Park. Now, that's right behind the Kerr-McGee Center that's been set up as an evacuation center for residents. It starts at 7 with free hot dogs, drinks, and snacks. And then at 8:30, there will be a showing of Disney's Dumbo. The only thing you need to bring is a blanket or a chair to sit back and relax in. All right, let's check out that forecast. We know it has been rather hot for those people who maybe can't go home right now in the Ridgecrest and Trona areas, Kev.
Yeah, we've been fairly lucky in terms of temperatures. I know we've been in the upper 90s up in the Ridgecrest area, but this time of year, sometimes we can be looking at temperatures right around 105, 106. So we've been lucky on that front. Yesterday, we were in the 90s. 92 degrees was the high, and our record on yesterday was 114, and that was set back in 1905. So far from the record, but still warm at 92. We're at 83 right now under a calm wind, and as we take a look at the temperatures throughout the day here, we are going to climb into the lower 90s and then slipping back into the 80s throughout the late evening hours. For the Tehachapi area, 75 degrees right now with a west-northwest at 13. Nice to see a little breeze. And as we take a look at the afternoon, we are expecting the upper 70s, lower 80s, and then we'll slip back into the mid-60s by 10. We are looking at a pretty good warm-up on the way for the weekend. I've got more details on that coming your way in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. National news now. Henry Ross Perot, the self-made billionaire from Texas who made 2 bids for the White House, has died at the age of 89. Chuck Todd reports.
The self-made man from Texarkana.
The party's over, and it's time for the cleanup crew.
Henry Ross Perot founded Electronic Data Systems in 1962 with a $1,000 check, later selling the company to General Motors and becoming an early tech billionaire. In 1992, he catapulted into national politics.
If you want to register me in 50 states, number one, I'll promise you this, between now and the convention, we'll get both parties' heads straight.
The most successful third-party candidate since Teddy Roosevelt in 1912. To this day, Bush and Clinton supporters debate who Perot hurt more in 1992.
And you don't care about anything but making money, there will be a giant sucking sound going south.
At a time when public trust in government was lower than during Watergate, Perot appealed to a group of disenchanted voters on one issue, the deficit, selling his message with folksy charisma.
As I've said before, it's time to take out the trash and clean out the barn.
TV appearances.
Look out, George Bush! Here comes H. Ross Perot!
And infomercials.
That's what we could have done with $4 trillion if we hadn't wasted it.
Perot could be combative.
You have said that part of your $400 billion deficit
I have also told your program
is $180 billion.
Yes, may I finish?
May I finish? It was a simple question.
Well, you've already finished. Go finish again.
It's
your program. You can do anything you want to with it. Go ahead.
But his message stuck. He won nearly 20 million votes and became a pop culture phenomenon.
The deficit is like a crazy ant down in the basement. No one is paying attention to her. And she is just getting ornerier and stinkier. You catch me?
Although he finished third both in 92 and in 1996, Perot's ability to appeal to political outsiders, his personal wealth, and populist campaigns, particularly on the issue of trade, was a forerunner to Donald Trump.
I'm putting up my own money. I don't know if it's ever happened. I guess Ross Perot put up his money.
A graduate of the Naval Academy, Perot was honored with the Medal for Distinguished Public Service for his work on behalf of POWs.
And these men have great value to their wives, their children, and their parents.
His life defined by his favorite motto, inspired by Winston Churchill.
Never give in. Never give in. Never, never, never.
And his love for the Lone Star State.
I was Texas born, Texas bred, and Texarkana raised, and when I die, I'll be Texas dead.
Chuck Todd, NBC News, Washington.
We're back in your 17 Health Watch this afternoon. New cases of the measles have reached a new record in the country. According to the CDC, there are now 1,109 confirmed cases in 28 states. That's an increase of 14 cases from the previous week. The hardest hit state is still New York, where there are nearly 900 cases reported. This comes as new reports have appeared to slow down in the past couple of weeks. This continues to be the worst outbreak in the U.S. since 1992. Opioids are often prescribed for ankle sprains despite guidelines against their use. Researchers from the University of Michigan looked at nearly 600,000 people treated for a sprained ankle. About a quarter of those patients were prescribed opioids in the emergency room, and 8% were still filling that prescription 90 days later. The recommended treatment for ankle sprains includes ice, anti-inflammatory drugs, support, and exercise. Bedwetting is a problem that is more common than you think. 15% of 5-year-olds still wet the bed. While it's an embarrassing issue for many kids, it's also treatable. Barbara Moore-Silver reports.
It can be especially frustrating to children who wet the bed and their parents, but there are reasons why this happens.
Some kids are more sound sleepers than others. It can be due to a slightly smaller bladder capacity or the inability to respond to those signals during the night.
Stress can also play a role.
Starting school, for example, parents getting divorced can often trigger bedwetting.
Dr. Liza Aguiar is a pediatric urologist at Hasbro Children's Hospital. Generally, she says it's a good idea that if your child continues to wet the bed by the time they're 7, to seek help. There are short-term solutions,
including medications that can mask the problem. Some kids choose to take a medication on an as-needed basis, for example, for sleepovers or for overnight camps.
If a child is motivated,
there are bedwetting alarms, which are inconvenient, but really our primary way of getting to the root of the problem, conditioning the brain to wake up at the time of peeing at night. There are times when we do have to screen for more serious conditions.
Taking this bedwetting assessment can help you determine if your child needs professional help or if it may be more serious. Bottom line,
it does go away on its own most of the time. The majority of times I tell parents that it's perfectly reasonable to watch and wait. I often tell my parents I've never sent a bedwetter to college.
Experts say you should avoid punishing your child for bedwetting.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
We're back in your 17 Business Watch, and stocks are mixed on this Tuesday. The Dow is down about 74 points so far in trading. The NASDAQ up 28 points, and the S&P 500 down 2. Checking out oil prices while we're at it. West Texas Intermediate selling for $57.87 a barrel at last check, and Midway Sunset started the day at $61.41 a barrel. Target reveals summer savings for its Deal Days event. Target's taking on Amazon Prime's Day next week with deals on hundreds of thousands of items on Target.com. The online sale starts on July 15th and runs for 48 hours through the 16th. That's the exact same time as Amazon's Prime Day event. On one day of the event, Target shoppers can get 40% off on select furniture and indoor rugs, as well as must-have kitchen appliances. Day 2 offers 30% off exclusive home brands, including top toy brands and select sporting goods. And starting today through Sunday, Target's offering select deals for customers who want to get a jump start on their shopping. Target says no memberships required to participate in the event. Heads up to parents of young kids. Disney's recalled nearly 80,000 Forky 11-inch plush toys. The stuffed toys based on the Forky character in Disney's Pixar story Toy Story 4. But it has eyes that can detach, which poses a choking hazard to young children. The Forky toy was sold for about $20 at Disney stores nationwide, Disney theme parks, online, and at shopdisney.com. And through the Disney Store on Amazon from April 2019 through June 2019. So far, no injuries have been reported. You're urged to take the toy away from children and return it to any Disney retail store or Disney theme park for a full refund. Holy cow, it's Cow Appreciation Day at Chick-fil-A. Get your cow costumes ready. That is, if you want to cash in on a free entree. Customers, including kids who dress up in their best cow attire, will receive a free entree, excluding salads, to celebrate the day. The offer's good from the time Chick-fil-A opens until 7 p.m. local time, so you can go for lunch or dinner still. Last year, nearly 2 million free entrees were given to those dressed in their bovine best. Creating the farm of the future, that's what Virginia Tech researchers are doing with a new project, using brand new technology to make the farming industry more efficient. Jessica Jewell shows us how it works.
You'll note we have just a standard battery pack on this side of the halter.
With a simple sensor,
we have a GPS tracker. That's what this piece is.
And creative use of technology.
3 times a minute, that halter is chirping out to our radio here.
Virginia Tech is leading the charge on bringing farms into the digital era.
The industry is changing a lot, and it's changing rapidly.
Where farmers use iPads as often as they use tractors.
To find ways to improve the sustainability of our food production systems.
It's all part of a relatively new effort called the Smart Farm Innovation Network.
The whole idea is to better meet the needs of industry.
The largest industry in the Commonwealth, agriculture and forestry, churning out more than $91 billion a year in economic impact. The Hokies' new effort should maximize that, getting research on new technology to farmers faster.
We think we can get it down to about $20 in equipment.
Robin White is focusing on livestock.
We're hoping to use that sensor to do things like monitor whether the horse's head is up or down, monitor as they chew, this portion moves, so we can monitor their chewing activity.
That's just the beginning. Researchers are biodesigning plants to be resistant to drought and disease and developing drone technology to communicate with robots in harvesting equipment.
I knew technology would change, of course. I never dreamed that it would move this quickly.
They're only a couple of months into this project so far and still have a ways to go. Right now, they're working to secure funding to continue the research.